Now the thing that people are going to notice or comment most probably about the drawing more than anything else as they initially see it are the eyes. So let's spend quite a bit of time doing these eyes. They are very, very dramatic. And there's lots of different colour changes in there as well. We've got really light colours, just like the lightest blue, like a duck egg blue in this bottom section. That's where that light is travelling through the eye from above, hitting the eye on that very bright highlight and then going through there and lighting up the bottom section of the iris. On the top we've got more blues and purples, and I'm using my pencils because they give you more accuracy. This is quite a small area. I could have done it with pan pastels, but I do like to use pencils like this. And I'm just initially getting lots of the colours that I'm seeing in place. Now we've got some very dark purples at the top, and around this pupil we've got a real rich colour, kind of a purpley brown colour. So I'm getting this rich brown, reddy brown in place. I can go over that then, subdue it with a purple on top, and lines kind of radiate out from the centre. And I'll be blending all this and pushing it down into the tooth of the paper. So all of this will get blended out quite soon. You see I can go in around the major part of the highlights. They're really quite a light pure colour, almost a pure white. So I don't want those muddied with anything like a dark purple. If I did that I'd probably struggle to get a nice pure light colour on there. And then on the edges, we've got some purple around here as well. And then a subtle blend on the very edge, and then it's nice and dark on this top section. Now as you can see on the reference photo, there's lots and lots of different colours and subtle colour changes just in the eyes alone on the Serval cat, and that's why after you get past the very basic beginner lessons, where on my Patreon channel I actually tell you which colour to put where, as I said, on just a few basic starter lessons, once you get beyond that stage you need to know how to look at the colours on the reference and then select the colours in your pencils and your other soft pastels. And that's why I prefer on my videos, and I've got a couple of specific videos on Patreon saying exactly how to see the colours more easily and how to pick them from your sets. Because as you can see on the right hand screen as I'm drawing, I am picking and changing my pencils extremely frequently. My job, I feel, is to show you how to do that, not to tell you exactly what colour to put in what area. Okay, so that's all the basic colours down on there. So what I really need now to get rid of that graininess, that gritty look to it, is to use my soft paper stump and to push all that into the surface of the paper, down into the tooth of the paper. Because at the moment all that pastel is just sitting on the surface, and that's what's creating or giving that graininess. I need the eye to look glossy and glassy and smooth. I can put the details on top of this, but first of all I need it to all look really smooth. In this top section as well, no hard edges around here and down to the corner. The darks obviously need to be redarkened, the lights relightened. You can see how this blending out is giving me that already that glossy, that glassy look. And now I can start to come in and get more refinement. So that first part, that was kind of the equivalent of my underlayer that I did with the fur, and now I'm putting the details, the refinement of the colours, getting more accuracy in there. And with that pastel matte paper, we've got plenty of opportunity to add more layers. Now generally around the eyes you don't really have hard sharp edges. Lots of artists seem to do like a black circle all the way around the eyeball itself, and then it kind of jumps really dramatically then to the lighter wet part of the eye, the glassy part of the eye, whereas I found that generally at the top of the eye it all kind of blends in together, so you don't see any hard edges, and you only really see the hard edges down the bottom and well around the bottom section of the eye. So at the top it's usually in shadow and it's very fine soft transition. Now here we've got blue, it's not a grey, you can see that's once again I would assume is the blue sky above actually showing up on that wet part underneath the eye. We've also got some of that in the corner as well. Now the pupil's really dark there, but it's not as dark as the Cretacolor pencil marks or the Cretacolor chalk marks I put around the eye. So I'm just using my pencil for now. I may come in back in and darken that later on, but if I don't need to, I won't do it. So do you see what I mean about that subtle transition from the dark around the eye onto the eyeball itself? There's no hard edges in that top section. So I'm just going to carry on now refining colours and details, and I'll just let it run in real time so you can watch how this one progresses, because once you've seen this one we can go a bit faster then on the next eye. Now I'm using my pencil on the side, and that's actually creating some texture that I want on there now. Not everything needs to be smooth on this eye. Got the smoothness of the underlayering, and now I'm creating the texture on top. It may be very subtle texture, but it is actually there. Now remember what I said, very few areas in the eye has hard edges, and you can get these little paper stumps, really small, really miniature ones, or you can even roll some paper up yourself and get the same effect when the area you want to soften is even smaller than your fingers. Now as you continue to refine, the adjustments you make get smaller and smaller, more subtle all of the time, building that layer upon layer. And at the latter stages I do very little blending. That's where I'm putting the details in. Now more highlights on the bottom, and you can see how I've taken a complicated eye. It doesn't really get much more complicated than this. We've broken it down into various layers, taking it a bit at a time, and it's really starting to look quite realistic now at this stage. Now as I put the highlight in, that's obviously when it starts to look glassy and glossy and shiny. I'm going in with a very light blue to start with. And you can see why by leaving out and drawing around these highlight areas I can get a more pure colour. And then just using some white just in a few areas, not everywhere, and you can see how glassy that's starting to look. So that's turning out really quite well. Okay, so just a few more touches and that's our first eye done. Just a few more lighter areas just to make that area look a bit wetter. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong. Hope to see you there soon.